Hello everyone, so welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about one new topic, which is the illusion of self. We all have this thought multiple times. Who am I? Isn't it? Yeah. And the first subject which comes into the picture to answer this question is generally spirituality. We lean towards spirituality to get the answer for that. But today, what if I tell you that I'll answer this question of having an illusion of yourself, placing the latest theories of philosophy and neuroscience? Yeah, you're correct. So there is a theory which says self-model theory of subjectivity, SMT, and this is given by Thomas Metzinger. So what this theory says that you don't exist. By you, I mean the self doesn't exist. Or even if you exist, not in the way we think we exist as a self. Okay, so let's go in detail and understand this perspective of having an illusion of self from the lens of this particular theory. So I'm going to break down this theory into multiple parts, and then we'll see different parts of this theory and see how neuroscience also says the same thing. So one of the most shocking claim of this theory is that self doesn't exist. What exists is the self model. So your brain contains a little of you, but it contains more of a model of you. Ideally, it creates a simulation of multiple things and created a model and perceived that model as a self. Now I talked about simulation. What is this simulation all about? Understand it from the perspective of GPS. Let's say we all have used GPS, for example, Google Maps. So when you try to find out a distance from point A to point B, you look into the map. But that map is just a representation of that place. That is not the exact location. Correct? In the same way, our sense of self also works in the same way. Your brain builds the model of your body, the model of your emotions, the model of your thoughts, and the model of your decisions and actions. Putting all of these together, and you get what you feel like a single stable me, which is the self, right? But it's just a construction. It's just an avatar created of you, and you look the world through that avatar. So this is basically an virtual avatar create of neurons. Now, what is this avatar? We just understand this avatar in a little brief. So Metzinger called it as a phenomenal self model, PSF model, and tells us that this internal avatar gives you multiple things. It gives you a perception that I'm here, these are my thoughts, these are my feelings, these are my memories, these are my dealings, and this is my world. But here's the truth. PSM is transparent, meaning you don't see the model that the brain has created, you only see through it. Now, what I mean by that? For example, when you see your phone screen, let's say you're seeing a video, you don't see the pixels. You see you see the final video it had created. So so that's why this illusion works. But there is magic and a very smart trick which the brain plays. What is it? This is that it hides the construction process. What I mean by the construction process is all the neurons firing, all the predictions updating, or any other storage data. Brain hides that process. So you just get the model and the final output, which is you. So ideally, what SMT says, or this theory says, that self is not a thing. Self is just a model. It's a story your brain tells to you without exposing you the construction process of this. Okay. Ideally, we have a lot of experiences where this self model gets shattered. For example, lucid dreamings, intensive meditations, or hallucinations. There, what happens is this models get shattered, and you start going into that sense of there's nothing like self. Okay, but it's always a question to me that why evolution has created this self model, and if it's an illusion, why do we even need it? So there is multiple reasons to it. We all know we all have been developed from the animal kingdom, right? We raised up our stairs from the animal kingdom. At that point, this is required to do the planning, to do the future projections, to navigate the world, right? So at that moment, this self model is required, or this illusion of self is required. Now, this self is also, divided into multiple layers. One self is you, one self is your family, then above it your society, then above it your state, and above it is your country. So self model, when we talk about model, this also creates on the multiple layers. So the mind blowing twist here, which SMT says to us, is that you are nothing. Yeah, that's what it is saying, that you are nothing. It just says that you are not what you think you are. Ideally, you're just an illusion, but still your consciousness is real, your thoughts are real, and your emotions are real. But it all created a kind of a model. Okay. So we have understood all these things, that okay, what this theory is kind of talking to, but what important meaning it. So what does this mean for you now? So we see the effect of this from three things. First is our image. We all have our image in our mind. I think if the self doesn't exist, that image also got shattered. What we are is fine, but we can be anyone, right? Second is we take our thoughts very seriously, and that is because it is about self. And that self, when I say, it's not the self only about us, it's about our community, about our family, about our country. We all take, if the self comes into picture, we take it very seriously. So that is also kind of broken now. The third is the emotions that we have about ourselves is also broke, right? So which gives us an essence that it is a larger community that needs to be seen into picture, rather than only looking at the self side of things. Because self is just a tool, it's just a story, it's just a simulation. Guys, now what I'll do is I'll try to connect this SMT theory with the spirituality. Now think about spirituality. Isn't this SMT theory also being said exactly in the same way by our Vedas, where this thing is called as Maya, right? Atmanam Kalpitam Sarvam. is a very famous quote from Mandukya Karkam, which says that everything you feel or everything you know about yourself is an illusion. Where neuroscience called it a model, Upanishads or the mythology or metaphysics calls it Maya. So now we cannot say that this is all in our Upanishads. Now science is also connecting the dots in the same pattern of where our Upanishads have said throughout the time. So ideally, I just sum up everything. So one thing we need to learn is dissolving self. Stop treating our thoughts like facts. They are just models. I repeat, they are just models. Once you see that, you stop suffering unreasonably. Okay? And start believing unintentionally. Thank you so much.